So I've got a side wind now, so it's coming perpendicular to the board. This is my least favourite wind direction because oftentimes it means that you end up paddling just on one side of the board to keep your nose heading in the right direction. Also, 10 minutes ago, the wind was coming from the exact opposite direction. The conditions can change really quickly, so it's always worth knowing kind of a backup plan or just being really conscious of where the wind's coming from and where you can find shelter. So with the wind coming from that direction, the island that we're heading to is just here. If we go straight to that island, we'll get shelter from the land. So that's what I'm going to do now. Go over there. It'll be a little bit quieter over there, and I won't have to paddle in this horrible side wind. See, ooh, not if I get stuck in my tail. So I've paddled to within about 20 metres of the land, and as you can see now, the water's really glassy and calm. That wind effect has been completely removed because we're in the shadow of the island. So it's worth thinking, if you're getting caught in wind, is there somewhere that you can go and shelter and kind of snuggle along the land, along the coast, provided there's no big swell that's crashing into the land, obviously. It just makes for much more pleasant paddling, and yeah, using the land features for shelter is a really good idea when you're out on the water. One of the most frequent questions I get asked when I do talks about my expeditions is, why on earth did you choose a paddleboard instead of a kayak? Because kayaks can go faster in worse conditions and they're often easier to paddle. And this is a perfect example of why I love paddleboarding. I'm looking right down underneath my paddleboard now and seeing kelp forests. I've just seen a sea urchin. I can see all the seaweed because of the vantage point. It's like snorkeling without having to get wet. It's amazing. There's an incredible kelp forest right here. It's so beautiful, and it really connects you to the environment you're paddling in. I actually wish I had brought a snorkel, to be honest, because this looks fabulous. But when there's no swell, like a day like today when there's very little wind and very little swell, being able to kind of get into these coves and actually really investigate them and see what's going on is one of the most beautiful things about exploring our seas by paddleboard. Fire!